Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, perfect, guys. Once again, a very good evening. Thanks for joining this webinar. This webinar is essentially about how to get hired as a business analyst as such. Right? That's the topic for today. Right? I have prepared some content on this, so which I'm going to present first for the first 30 to 40 minutes. Then once I'm done, I will open up the session for some questions from your side also. Right? So the agenda for the session is going to be as follows. Right? Right? First, to know how to get hired as a business analyst, we would like to know what is business analytics in the first place, right? And what are the responsibilities for a business analyst? Once we find out, we will try to answer the question: is business analytics something new, or has it been something with us for a long time, right? And what if it's been with us for a long time? What is different now, right? What is the different practices that we are following now? Once we have an understanding of this, we will look at what are the types of problems a business analyst essentially solves and what are the use cases for those problems as such. Right? There are some lot of terminologies that surrounds business analytics, right? Like example, data scientist, machine learning engineer, data analyst. Right? So next to what we would try to find is we would like to understand the difference between what business analytics and what data science and what data engineering and all are going to be about. And we will also come up with a rule set, right, where I will give you some rules which to choose, right, based on your requirements, based on your interest. We will come up with a decision tree which will tell us which is the best thing to choose for us as such. Then we will look at the tools and skill sets that are required to be a business analytics. Then I will give you a comprehensive rule learning path to become a business analyst. And then finally, we will wrap up this session with knowing the employment prospects that are available in the business analytics domain. Right, so let's get started. Before we go into the content, I would like to tell a bit about myself. I am Koushik and I am a mathematician by training. I currently work as a quantitative trader in a financial services firm. In the past, I have worked with investment banks, funds, as well as family offices. I have some experience in applying business analytics tools in finance. Right? I'm also a senior data science mentor with GUVI, where I have mentored more than 700 students as such. Right? With this, let's get started, guys, on what is business analytics. Let's try to answer our first question on what is business analytics. Right? Business analytics is going to be a set of tools and technologies that you use to solve day-to-day business problems. Right? The day-to-day business problems can be something very simple, like how to improve my revenue or how to decrease my cost, to something much more complicated, like what are the different types of customers that are there in my platform? How can I prevent a customer from leaving my platform, and more like that as such. Right? Even though business analytics is about using any tool and technique to solve these problems, one technique which is very popular these days, which is also a biggest weapon in a business analyst arsenal, is going to be that of data analysis and statistical models. Right? Data is the new oil. In this modern world, data is the new oil. And as a business analyst, we would like to squeeze all the information from the data so that we can use these insights to improve our businesses as such. Right? So as you can see from the name as well as the definition itself, more focus is actually given to how are we improving the business. The more focus is not given on the methods that we are doing, but how we are going to improve the business as such. Some examples of business analytics is going to be in that of customer segmentation. Right? So what is customer segmentation? Customer segmentation is about dividing the customers into different groups based on their tastes as well as their purchase patterns as such. Right? So for example, if you are an e-commerce platform, right, you would like to divide your user base into different groups so that you can give targeted advertisements as well as targeted discounts to each of the group as such. Right? So if you go to a platform like Amazon.com or Flipkart.com, the homepage that you will be seeing and the homepage that another user will be seeing may not be the same. Right? Your homepage will essentially be fine-tuned to your taste, and the discounts will be fine-tuned to your taste as such. Right? How are they doing it? They are doing it using business analytics tools only. And another very popular example where business analytics is used is that of demand forecast as such. Right? Let's suppose you are a manufacturer, right? You are a manufacturer of an umbrella or a car or something like that. The first question that pops in your mind is going to be how many units to manufacture. right? Should I manufacture 100 units? Should I manufacture 1,000 units, or how much? How do we get to know that? By doing demand forecast only, right? By forecasting what my demand is going to be in the next few months, I will come up with a magic number, and that magic number is the number of units that I'm going to manufacture in the first place. And how are we doing it? Again, using business analytics tools only. Right? And the third and the most popular of all the business analytics tool is that of churn prediction, right? A churn is actually a very interesting problem statement, right? Customer churn is nothing but customer leaving that platform, right? And one of the fields where churn is the biggest problem is going to be that of telecom industry, right? Let's suppose you are Vodafone or Jio or Airtel. You would like to know how many people are going to discontinue your services as such, and you would also like to know more about why are they discontinuing, right? What is the reason behind them they are discontinuing as such? If you get to know that, what you can do is you can fix those problems. Let's suppose you predict some person is highly likely to churn, then to make him not churn, make him or her not to churn, you can give some discounts, you can give some special services and retain them in the business itself as such, right? And the last example of business analytics is going to be that of A/B testing, right? As the name itself suggests, guys, it's going to be A or B, right? You have two options, option A or option B, and you would like to find which is the better option out of these two, right? One example is, let's suppose you are an FMCG manufacturer. Let's suppose you manufacture Boost or Horlicks or something, and you have two options for brand ambassadors. You have MS Dhoni as your brand ambassador, and you have Virat Kohli as your brand ambassador, right? So what you will do is you will conduct some surveys asking people whom they will prefer, and based on the results that you get from the survey, you will make a decision whom to choose as your brand ambassador as such. Right? These are all some examples where business analytics is getting used, right? If you can see, all these examples used a lot of data, right? It was completely banked on data. And at the end of the day, we were interested in solving a business problem only in all these four cases, right? We would like to improve a business only at the end of the day, right? That's why there is a big amount of emphasis laid to business problems over here, right? And as a business analyst, your responsibilities will actually start with identifying the business problem. Let's suppose you work as a business analyst, right? First thing that you would like to find out is what is the biggest problem that is essentially present in your business. Once you have identified the biggest problem, what you will do is you will collect some data regarding analyzing this business problem as such, right? You will ask the data sources to collect the data. You will bring all the data to one place as such, right? And once you have collected the data, you will give this data to the data scientist or the statistician who will build some models as such, right? Who will essentially build some machine learning or statistical models to understand the data better, right? But whatever the data scientist, right? Whatever the data scientist is essentially coming up with is all going to be a technical solution only. They are going to construct technical solutions to the problem, right? They are not going to construct business solutions. So you as a business analyst, what you will do is you will try to get the insights, business insights from these technical problems. Let's suppose the data scientist has built one linear regression model, right? I'm just dropping a name over here, right? And what you are going to do is you are going to mine the insights from that linear regression model, and you are going to convert the technical insights into business insights as such, right? So once you are converted into business insights, you will be able to present it to your stakeholders, right? Your stakeholders are people who own the business, or only people who do not know data science, right? They only know the business, right? So what you are doing is you are converting the technical insights into business insights, and you are presenting it to the stakeholders as such, right? Once you find the problem, right? So you have identified the problem, you have collected some data regarding that problem, and you are also taking the help of the data scientist to build solutions around the problem. The next thing that you are going to do is you are going to, right, communicate the insights and advise future actions as such, right? You are going to advise future actions. You are going to say the biggest problem that my business is facing is this, and to solve this problem, this is the action that you are supposed to take, right? So let's take an example, right? We will work out with an example. Let's suppose you are working for a bank, right? You are working for a bank like ICICI or SBI or IOB or whatever, right? And you have identified that a lot of people are not repaying the loan back, right? You have identified that a lot of people are starting to not repay the loan back. So to understand this problem a bit better, you collect data, You collect data around who are all the people I have given loan to, what are their age, what is their gender, what type of job do they have, what is their educational qualification. You collect a lot of data regarding this, and you give this data to the data scientist who will construct some models to understand the data. What you would do is you would look at those models and you will come up with some key insights. You will find out, okay, the kind of people who are not repaying the loan back are these sets of people. These sets of people are not able to give my loan back because of these reasons. So I can maybe avoid them from not repaying the loan back by helping these people in this way, right? So you are essentially converting the technical insights that are given by the data scientist to business insights that you will be able to use to help improve your bank as such. Right? So this is what business analytics is about, and these are the responsibilities of a business analyst as such. Right? Once we have got an understanding of this, the next obvious question in our mind is going to be, is the business analytics something new? Is it something that has come up in the last 5 to 10 years, or is it been something that has been with us for a long time as such? Right? And the answer to that question is going to be, it has been with us for a very, very long time. Right? The first time the business analytics term was coined was in the late 1800s by a mechanical engineer slash consultant by the name of Frederick Taylor. Right? That was a person who coined the term business analytics. So if you see, right, in the 1890s, 1900s and all, the biggest industry was the manufacturing sector only. Factories and the industries were what the biggest sectors were going to be. So what Frederick Taylor did was, Frederick Taylor went to these factories, collected a lot of information from these factories, and tried to improve the manufacturing processes using statistical tools as such. Right? It was all done in pen and paper only. At that time, there was no computer. Right? There was no way in which we could store the data, we could analyze the data and all. Frederick Taylor just went to these manufacturing companies. He collected data from them in pen and paper, and then he tried to analyze these data using statistical methods to find if we can get some insights as such. Right? If you guys have seen this movie called Modern Times by Charlie Chaplin, there would be a very comical scene, right, where certain business analyst would essentially come and find out that the biggest problem in the factories was going to be the employees eating lunch. Whenever the employees go for lunch break, they find out that they'll take a long time to come back as such, right? So as a solution to this, what these business analysts would have done is they would have actually developed this funny machine, right? This machine which will automatically feed the the lunch to the data, to the worker as such, to the employee as such, right? So that the employees can keep working and still have their lunch. Right? Even then, it doesn't work in that movie. It's a very comical scene which does not work out in practical life. Henry Ford, who invented the Ford motors, actually used something very similar to optimize the assembly time of the Ford Model T as such. Right? In this car that they essentially built called Ford Model T, he used these statistical methods and business analytic techniques to improve the manufacturing process. He found out which are the processes that are consuming a lot of time, and then he tried to essentially, reduce the time by inventing some methods as such, right? So if you see, most of 1800s as well as in 1900s, business analytics was primarily done in pen and paper only. Data was collected in paper. The statisticians used to analyze the data, do the computation in paper, and then they used to come up with some solutions as such, right? Because there was no computer at the time. But even that time, it was a resounding success. Right? Whatever Henry Ford essentially came up with in 1900s, we are still using it to these days also. Till these days, business analytic principles that were essentially invented in 1900s are still being used. And that's what most of 1960s, till 1960s, most of business analytics was about that only. Right? It was primarily done in pen and paper. It was done by a specialist few only who were statisticians and who did the mathematics and then came up with some ways to improve the business as such. And in 1960s, a very important invention essentially happened, right? The invention of the hard disk drive. Right? The hard disk that we are using these days was essentially invented in 1960s by IBM as such, right? And even though it was very expensive at that time, right, that personal use was not possible, all the big corporates purchased these hard disk drives and they collected a lot of data. right? Whatever data was getting stored in paper, they were now able to store it in the computer using a hard disk drive. There were massive amounts of data that they essentially collected. Right? And the 1960s to 1980s saw a leap in computers also, right? Computers were essentially invented, hard disk drives were solved, data was coming in big amount, computers was also able to do the computation. So 1960s to 1980s saw a lot of corporates essentially coming in this field called business analytics. Most of the companies like Microsoft, SAP, Oracle, all essentially developed softwares to automatically analyze the data and offer business intelligence solutions, right? They came up with business intelligence tools, which will automatically analyze the data that these corporates have collected, and they would essentially come up with some insights. Right? Even though those insights were not very tremendous insights, right? They were very simple things only. What is going to be my sales? What is going to be my revenue? They were answering very, very simple things only, but it was a big breakthrough because till that time, everything was done in pen and paper. It was not done by everyone. Everyone could not afford a statistician to do their calculations, right? But now between 1960s to 80s, with the invention of the computer and the hard disk drive, things were, most of the businesses started using business analytics, right? Your local kirana shop, your local bulb shop, everyone started business analytics tools, started using these business analytics tools to improve their businesses as such. And things were going smoothly between 1980s to 2000s, and in 2000s, a major leap in human history essentially happened, which was the birth of the internet as such. Right? As internet essentially started coming, social networks came in 2004 and 2006. Data came in tsunamis as such, right? The data was just kept flowing in and in as such, right? Most of the customers, what they did was after purchasing a product, they used to go to the social media websites and put a review of the product over there, right? Once they put a review of the product there, these corporates, what they will do is they will collect those data, they will try to analyze the data to help improve their businesses as such, right? Massive amounts of data started flowing in, right? Massive amounts of data started flowing in. In the meantime, in the parallel, there was also small and silent breakthrough that was happening, the breakthrough in computers as such, right? Computers were getting faster and faster and faster that by 2015s, a smartphone could do the same amount of computation like a supercomputer back in 1980s. Right? So between 2000s to 2020s, two enormous things essentially happened. One was the birth of the internet, which generated a lot of data, and another was the faster and faster computers as such, right? Came up with smartphones, iPads, cloud services, and a lot of things like that, right? With these two combined in 2020s, it essentially set up the perfect example of how business analytics could be used. You have a massive amounts of data, which is your new oil, right? Like just like how oil was in 1900s, everything happened using oil only in 1900s, right? The same way, everything in 2020s essentially is happening with this massive amounts of data that we have generated. And we also have the infrastructure, right? There is computation to mine these massive amounts of information also. So what people did was people started using machine learning as well as data science concepts to do some advanced modeling, right? In 1980s and all, we were doing very simple things like what is my sales, what is my revenue, and things like that. Right now, what we can do is we can predict what will happen in the future. What are the scenarios that might essentially turn up, right? We were able to do such kinds of computations over here. And that's exactly where we are in 2020s, right? In 2020s, we are making use of these data and the infrastructure along with some advanced machine learning and data science concepts to do some advanced predictive and prescriptive modeling, right? And nowadays also, right, all the shops that you guys know, all the websites out there, all the shops out there are actually using some sort of business analytics as such, right? One way or the other, they are able to use these business analytics tools to generate insights from the data as such. Next up is, okay, I understand the history of business analytics, but what are we exactly talking? What are the types of analytics that is being offered as such, right? And there are 4 types of analytics that a business analyst is really interested in. The first type of analytics is what is called as a descriptive analytics, right? Where we are building some dashboards, visualizations to find out what is happening, right? Or what happened as such. Right? And the next type of analytics is going to be, okay, I know something has happened. Let us try to find out why has it happened, right? Why did a particular thing essentially happen? What was the reasoning behind it as such? And the next type of analytics is going to be, okay, this thing has happened already and it has happened due to these reasons. What is going to happen in my future? What will happen in the future? If this thing continues, what is going to happen in the future? The last type of analytics, which is the most complex and which contains a lot of value, which a business analyst essentially will focus a lot on, is going to be prescriptive analytics, right? Where they would try to find out, how do I make certain things happen? Right? How do I make certain things happen? Let's do it with an example, guys. Right? If we roll back our time and if we go to the December of 2019, right? Not very far away, December of 2019, there were some healthcare agencies in the city of Wuhan in China. Right? The healthcare dashboards, what it started doing was it started giving some warnings. The healthcare dashboards essentially started giving some warnings where they said that most of the hospitals in China were getting full. Right? It said that most of the hospitals in China were getting full. That's an example of a descriptive statistics. Right? We have built some dashboards to essentially find out what is currently happening. It said that currently all the hospitals in China, in Wuhan, are getting filled as such. Right? Next, people started going through what is exactly happening. Why is the hospitals getting filled? Is it because of a big accident? Is it because of some some catastrophe or whatever, right? And when they started diagnosing what happened, they found out that most of the people who are coming to the hospitals are coming with symptoms of flu. Right? They are coming with a fever, they are coming with a running nose, they are coming with headache and things like that as such. Right? So that is the example of why is a particular thing happening. Diagnostic analytics. They try to find out that this is happening. People are coming to hospitals because of flu symptoms as such. Then what people did was, people essentially hired data scientists as well as epidemiologists to find out, if this thing continues, what will happen in the future. Right? What is going to happen in the future? Okay, a lot of people are coming to my hospitals and all of them are saying they have flu symptoms. If this thing keeps on continuing, what is going to happen? Is it going to be the end of the world, or what is it going to be as such, right? That's exactly where the data scientists essentially come in picture, where they try to predict what is going to happen in the future. The data scientist said that if this trend continues, we are all doomed. Right? That's exactly what the epidemiologist said, right? At the time, right? At the time, epidemiologist said, if this trend continues, that if people are keep on coming to the hospitals, we are completely doomed. The death rate is very high. The number of people coming are also very high. We are doomed. That's exactly where the business analyst or the policy maker will step in. Right? The business analyst or the policy maker is who are going to do the prescriptive analytics over here, right? So what did the policy maker do at the time? The policy maker said that we should not make it happen. Whatever is happening, we should not make it happen. They found out that the flu is essentially getting, coming from one person to the other. To stop the chain of the flu, the policy makers or the business analyst, what they did was they took some actions to lock down the entire city. They said that nobody goes out of the city, nobody comes inside the city, everybody is going to stay in their houses so that we will stop the flu chain as such. Right? It's a classic example of all four analytics essentially coming on, right? First, the data dashboards essentially said that it's a big problem. Then we found out why the problem was happening. Then we predicted what will happen in the future. Then we finally said that we are done. We are going to stop this problem right over here as such, right? And if you see, right, the most important problem, right, the most important action was essentially taken by the prescriptive analyst only, by the policy maker only, where they essentially stopped the problem by locking down the entire country as such. Right? So this is what a business analyst tries, right? The business analyst will come into picture in all four analytics types: in descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, as well as prescriptive, right? But the most important problem to the business analyst is going to be that of a prescriptive analytics essentially, right? Where they are trying to find out how to make certain things essentially happen. Right? Now comes the question, okay, now that we have understood what the responsibilities of a business analyst are, how are they different from a data scientist or an ML or a data engineer, right? So a business analyst, as the term is very clear, is primarily focusing only on the business problem, right? They don't care about the models. They don't care about how sophisticated models you build or how sophisticated data that you collect. They primarily care about how can I make use of these models to come up with some business insights, right? How can I give some actions so that I will be able to improve my business as such, right? So that's exactly where a business analyst comes in. While a data scientist, what they will try to do is they will try to build the most sophisticated models that they could think of. Right? These data scientists, or the Wuhan example, they were the epidemiologists, right? They try to construct some models to predict what will happen in the future. And a data or an ML engineer, what they will do is they will try to help the data scientist and the business analyst by automating the data science, where to store the data, building the infrastructure using which the data scientist will be able to build the models, building the infrastructure so that the business analyst will be able to build the models and such, right? That's exactly where a data engineer essentially comes in. When you look at the skills also, the skill sets that are required are completely different, right? If you look at a business analyst, their most important skill is going to be understanding the business, visualizing the data, communication, good communication skills and things like that. But when you look at a data scientist, their skills are, their top skills are going to be looking at mathematics, right? They should be very strong in mathematics. They should be very strong in statistics. They should be good in machine learning algorithms and things like that. While a data or an ML engineer, the skills that are required for them are going to be programming intensive, right? They need to write a lot of codes. They need to make things essentially happen, right? Whatever the data scientist and the business analyst are visualizing, they need to make those things happen as such, right? Some common tools that are used by a data or an ML engineer is going to be like PySpark, Hadoop, Python, the cloud services like AWS, Google Compute, and things like that. Right? While the tools that are used by a data scientist are going to be Python, right? They are going to use a lot of Python, SQL, some amount of R, some amount of Mongodb, and things like that. But when you come to a business analyst, the set of tools and technologies that they will use will be completely different, right? If you see, both data scientists as well as data or ML engineer essentially used a lot of programming intensive things. They used programming languages. But business analysts, what they would try to do is they would try to do low code or no code platforms. That is, tools that do not require a lot of coding or requires very less amount of coding only, right? They will use those tools only, like Power BI, Tableau, and all. Does not require a lot of codes, as Excel and all. It can be done using a GUI, graphical user interface itself, right? Most of the things you can also code in Power BI and Tableau, but most of the things can be done with a low code environment itself. Right, so these are the tool sets, right? The business analyst is primarily focused on communication, visualization, and business. Data scientist is primarily focused on developing the better algorithms, and the data or ML engineer is primarily focused on programming and automating the data science work. And if you want an analogy, right, there is a very easy analogy to understand the difference between data scientist and business analyst, right? To understand the difference between data scientist and business analyst, very simple analogy will be the difference between a scientist and an engineer, right? The scientist and the engineer. The scientist is the data scientist. The engineer, very similar to an engineer, is what the business analyst is going to be, right? For example, let's take, right, the scientists, what they do, they observe the world, they try to find the properties of elements, right? And they will come up with some discoveries. Scientists will discover that tungsten is a very good conductor of electricity. It will conduct electricity and will convert it into light energy, right? That's what scientists will do. But what will the engineer essentially do? Engineer will make use of whatever the scientist discovers to construct a everyday use product. Right? In this case, the engineer, what did they do? They essentially constructed the light bulb. The scientist said that tungsten is an amazing element, and the engineer essentially put the tungsten in use to create our light bulb. The same thing with respect to here also. The data scientist will try to construct models, while a business analyst will try to extract insights from the models to give business insights as such, to help improve my business as such. Right? To understand which is actually suitable. The next question is, okay, I have understood what data scientist does, what business analyst does, what ML or data engineer does. How do I decide which is appropriate for me? That depends on everyone, right? That depends on what your interests are going to be. To answer that question, I have a very simple rule, right? I have a very simple, this is what is called as a decision tree as such. The first question that you must ask is, which interests you more? Does programming interest you more, or mathematics, statistics, and machine learning modeling interests you more? If your programming interests you more, then the next question you must ask yourself is, does math or statistic MS or ML interest you at all? The answer is no. then you should not take up a career in data products, right? You must essentially go for a software engineering kind of role, right? You are very interested in programming, but you are not at all interested in mathematics, statistics, machine learning at all. In those cases, you should essentially go for a software engineering role. But if you are interested in programming, but you are also have some interest in machine learning, right? You have some interest in machine learning, a good role for you will be a ML or data engineer. These two are different roles. Machine learning engineer and data engineer are two different roles, but they are very similar to each other, right? Both are programming intensive roles. But for you, if mathematics, statistics, and machine learning, that is artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all, if it interests you more, then you must ask the next question, which is going to be, which interests you the most? Are you interested in building the cool machine learning models, or are you interested in finding solutions to business problems? If your answer is finding solutions to business problems, then the appropriate role for you to be is actually going to be business analyst only. If your answer is building cool machine learning models, then the appropriate role for you is to be a data scientist only over here. Right? As you can see, right, the business analyst role does not require a lot of programming at all. It does not mean that it will not do any programming. It will have some programming, but very, very limited. The same way, the software engineer does not require to know a lot of machine learning or business related things as such, right? They will require some amount. In one of the algorithms that they are designing, they might use machine learning, or they might use statistics once, but that isn't, it's not the very important thing that they will essentially handle as such. Right? So this is actually going to be a simple decision tree using which you can find out where you are appropriate for, which kind of role you are appropriate for as such. And usually, guys, if you are the kind of person who has a lot of experience, right, you will have a lot of domain knowledge, you will have a lot of business related knowledge, then business analytics is actually a very good role for you as such, right? Because you have the business skills, all you need to do is learn some amount of machine learning and modeling to become successful as a business analyst as such, right? Next up is going to be, let's look at what are all the skill sets that a business analyst essentially requires, right? So if you are looking for a business analyst, there are three primary types of skills that you must have, right? You must have three important types of skill. The first type of skill is going to be called as business intelligence. It's going to be the business intelligence as such, right? That is, you should have some business knowledge. How does a business operate? How does it make money? What are the costs for a business? Why do you invest in marketing? Things like that, right? Information around the businesses, you must be very good at it. And you must also possess some good communication skills, right? Why? Because you will be frequently communicating with the stakeholders. You are acting as a bridge between the data scientist and the stakeholders, right? So you will be frequently communicating with the stakeholders, for which you will require excellent communication skills also. You also need to be good at telling stories using data, right? Like using some tools like Tableau, Power BI, PowerPoint, right? These are all some basic skills that you must essentially have from the business intelligence standpoint of view. Next up is going to be your quantitative aptitude, right? You should also possess good quant skills, right? You should be good at numbers, basic numbers. You should know what is machine learning. You should be reasoning logically, right? If a particular problem presents, right, you should think of the problem logically. Okay, because of this problem, this has happened. Because of this has happened. You need to essentially you should have a clear thought, right? You should have a clear train of thought as such, right? For which you need a clear logical reasoning. Right? So basic math, stats, and machine learning is what will form a part of quantitative aptitude. And the third kind of skill that you must have is going to be around computation as such, right? Even though you will not be doing a lot of programming, as a business analyst, you are not expected to do a lot of programming and all, but even then you must be aware of some basic programming as such, right? How do you handle data in Excel? How do you handle data in SQL? How do you store the data in a cloud? How do you access the data in the cloud, right? You will have people to do it. You will have the data engineers or machine learning engineers to do it, but you must also be aware of the absolute basics so that you will understand what these people are actually doing. Right? So these are the three types of skill sets that are required, right? And as I said before, the most emphasis is laid on the business intelligence only, right? Because as a business analyst, the most emphasis is going to be on the business intelligence only. You should be good in knowing the business. You should be good in data visualization using Tableau, Power BI, and you should have good communication skills also, right? Followed by quantitative aptitude, followed by algorithmic thinking, right? Now comes the question, okay, these are the skill sets. What should be my learning path, right? Which should I learn first? Which should I learn last? And what should I do to become a business analyst as such, right? The first and the foremost thing that you must learn is going to be some DBMS technologies, right? You should know how to essentially handle a database, right? If you are given a database like Excel or SQL, you should be able to know how to handle the data set as such, right? That's the first thing that you must learn. After you learn techniques like Excel, SQL and all, you must get better at business terminologies, right? How does a business make money? What are all the revenue sources? What are all the marketing sources and things like that, right? The basics of how a business operates, you must be aware of that also. Next up is going to be, you should get good at visualization or communication skills, right? Like this Tableau, Power BI, you must learn technologies and tools like Tableau, Power BI and things like that. And finally, you must also learn some machine learning modeling skills also, right? Finally, you should learn machine learning modeling, some basic statistics, right? Not very advanced, right? Some basic statistics. If you follow this learning path, right, you will become a business analyst, right? Once you do it, as part of you are doing it itself, you will be working out on a lot of case studies. You will be doing a lot of projects and things like that, right? As you keep doing a lot of case studies and projects, you will build a very good business analyst portfolio, which will get you hired as a business analyst, right? And finally, how are the employment prospects, right? How are the employment is going to be, right? In India, right? I have taken this this data from Glassdoor, right? In India, the average salary for a business analyst is around the range of 6.5 lakhs per annum, right? Which is quite high compared to the others, right? Compared to software engineers, compared to data engineers and ML engineers and all. Business analyst pays you a lot of money, right? Because you are making an impact to the business, right? You are improving their revenues, you are bringing in more money, right? So that's why they essentially pay you also a lot, right? Where you are getting paid around 6.5 lakhs as such, right? And multiple domains like banking, retail, e-commerce, telecom, pharmaceuticals, sports, mechanical engineering, everybody is essentially going out for a business analyst as such, right? In this industry 4.0, the revolution of industry 4.0, even manufacturing sector is hiring a lot of data business analysts as such. They would like to find out what are all the problems that are there with their businesses and how they would like to fix those problems as such. And it's essentially estimated that there are around 15 lakh business analysts in India alone, right? It's just an estimation where people have said there are over 1.5 million or 15 lakh business analysts in India alone. And people project, right? Most of the companies essentially project this number is expected to grow, right? It's expected to grow by 14% annually. 14%, right? 14% is actually very big, right? The software engineering growth is around 7% as such, right? Every year we had 7% more software engineering roles, right? While in business analyst is expected to grow by 14%, which is around 2 times of what a software engineer or other types of fields are doing. Right? And most of the firms like the big firms like the TCS, Cognizant, Accenture, Big Four consulting firms, banking firms, all are actually look for a business analyst as such. Right? They have the data scientists, they have the infrastructure who's maintained by the data engineers. They essentially want business analysts to convert what these technical insights into business insights. Right? So this is how the employment prospects in the industry are going to be. Right? So that essentially brings us to the end of this session as such, guys, where we looked at what business analytics is going to be and what do business analysts essentially try to do, what are all the different roles of a business analyst, what are the different types of problems that they essentially solve, what are the skill sets that they essentially possess, and how the employment prospects are going to be, right? So what we would do now with opportunities for business analytics, and there are a lot of freelancing opportunities, right? Usually the kind of firms that essentially opt for freelancing opportunities in business analytics are going to be startups. Right? They usually don't have a lot of money so that they can hire a business analyst by themselves. So essentially go for business analytics freelancing options. Some websites that you can look for are Dotpal essentially has a business analytics thing. Fiverr also a very good amount of business analytics freelancing work is there. And lots of other, these two comes to the top of my mind as such. There's a lot of freelancing opportunities there. Okay, next up is which has more job, business analyst or full stack web developer? See, Shashank, It's completely different. A full stack web developer and a business analyst are completely different from each other. Right? A business analyst is essentially striving to improve the businesses as such, right? While a full stack web developer is trying to create and maintain the website over there as such, right? So in terms of the impact, business analyst will have more impact, right? Because they are they are in direct touch with the business, they are in direct touch with the revenue and lot more things like that. So that will be the business analyst, I would say, will have more impact. It will also fetch you a lot more money in general than a full stack web developer. What types of projects should we get to do to mention them in resume in order to get a business analyst role? It's a very good question, right? The type of projects that you must always do are going to be the projects which have a lot of business impact as such, right? So I would suggest a simple rule. If let's suppose you would like to go work in the finance domain, do a lot of projects in the finance domain. If you would like to work in a FMCG domain, do a lot of projects in FMCG domain. Doing in the projects in the domain where you would like to get placed will greatly improve your chances of getting a job in that same field. Okay, what is the difference between a business analyst and a data analyst as such, which has higher package? So the answer to the second question, which has higher package, is going to be a business analyst as such, right? Data analyst and business analyst are very similar to each other, right? The fresher roles in business analyst are usually called as data analyst as such. They are not very different from each other. The big difference is going to be between business analyst and data scientist only, but there's not a big difference between business analyst, right? As a fresher business analyst, you will usually be called as a data analyst only. Right? And the higher package is in general going to be had by business analyst. I'm a 2016 passed out. Can I join in the classes? Am I eligible to get placed? Yes, 100% you can get, you can join in the classes. You are 100% eligible to get placed as such, Jyoti. We have people who are like, who have graduated way back. Right, we have people who have graduated in 2002s, 3s also. Right, they have also gone to they relocated to some other businesses, some other firms as such. So you are 100% eligible. Do we need to do MBA for a business analyst? See, having a MBA will help you to be a business analyst, but it's not a strict requirement. Right, it's not a strict requirement. No need to get an MBA. Right, the required business content will be taught to you as part of the classes itself. Can I get a job as a fresher for a data scientist? Obviously, yes. Right? The answer is obviously yes. See, you need to understand the difference between data scientist and a business analyst. Data scientist is primarily focused on modeling, on cleaning the data, visualizing the data, and things like modeling, machine learning, and things like that. Right? For those roles, fresher data science roles, there are a lot of roles as such. There are 10 roles in fresher data science. There will be 3 experienced roles as such, right? So obviously you can get a job as a fresher data scientist. What type of degree or certification is required for business analyst? See, there is no particular type, right? In general, right now, most of the business analysts that are there are actually from engineering or from different backgrounds only, but a very apt skill degree is going to be something to do with business, right? Like commerce. If you are from a commerce background at all, it will help you a lot. But then not a specific degree, everything is all right? Because you need to know both the business as well as you must possess some quantitative skills also, right? So what type of skill sets exactly do fresher need to have to become a business analyst as such, right? So see the 3 important skill sets, right? You must possess some good business intelligence. You must have taken some basics of business courses, right? You should have good communication skills. You should be good with visualization tools, right? And then you should have good quant skills also. Quant is nothing but machine learning, probability, statistics, mathematics kind of skills. And finally, you should know basics of database management. Not a lot. How do you go about handling in Excel? How do you go about handling data in SQL, right? Things like that also you must be. These are the 3 important skill sets: quantitative aptitude, business intelligence, and database management. Does personality play a role in selecting as a business analyst? It will have some effect. It's a very good question, actually, Shashank. It will have some effect, right? If you are a kind of person who essentially communicates a lot, who is good with communication, that's going to vastly increase your chances of getting hired as a business analyst, right? So that plays a role, right? The communication skills are going to play a role. I have recently finished the data science program with GUVI D11. I am interested in BA course. Is BA course offered separately? Is the syllabus going to be repetitive as data science course? No, Harichandana, is a very good question. You can get in touch with the coordinator as such. We are going to start a separate module for people who have already taken data science. People who already know data science, who want to switch to business analytics, we are going to do a separate module. We are not going to repeat the content. We are only going to teach new content and make you ready for a business analyst role. Okay, so you can just get in touch with the coordinator. We have a separate course on BA. We have a separate course for data scientists for business analytics. How about opportunities for experienced working project manager? Karthik, experienced folks are the main target audience for business analytics as such, right? Because you guys have good business skills, right? You have already done a lot of business analytics. You would have had a lot of domain knowledge. You already have a lot of business intuition. It's a very good business analytics is the correct opportunity for people who have good amount of experience as such. Just to pick up some amount of data science, you will be good to go as a business analyst. How hard is data science? See, I'm going to be very honest with you, right? Data science is not a piece of cake. Obviously, it's not a piece of cake as such, right? It's going to be, you need to put in a lot of effort. But if you put in good amount of effort and you learn with the correct platform, data science is not at all going to be hard, right? It's something that can be picked up by everyone over here, right? Just it will require a lot of effort from you. I'm not saying no to it. It's not just a simple thing, but then it's doable as such. If you put in the effort, it's doable with the correct platform. It's completely doable and it will be worth it also. The effort that you will be putting will be worth it because you are going to get good pay packages, right? What will be the day-to-day activities for a business analyst? Is an interesting question, right? So like a business analyst, a day will essentially start out with, communicating with the clients, right? The business clients, they will essentially have a quick call with the business client. They will try to find out what sort of problems the business is finding, right? Once they have a chat with the business folks, the stakeholders, they will get a handle on what the problem statement is going to be. So they will essentially communicate with the data engineers, ask them to collect the required data. After they collect the required data, they will communicate with the data scientist to essentially do the, give the problem statement, do the analysis and everything. Once they get the answer back from the data scientist, they will try to visualize the answers. And you will work, this is where you will actually work standalone. You will work with these tools like Tableau, Plotly, not Plotly, Tableau, Power BI and things like that, and try to communicate these insights back to the stakeholder. So it will start with the stakeholder, it will go to the data engineer, you will communicate with the data scientist, you will come back, you will work alone for some time, and then you will provide the insights back to the data, to the stakeholders also, right? That's what the day-to-day activities is going to be. Okay, next is, I am confused on data analyst and full stack software engineer. My friends are saying developer have more vacancy as such. No, that is currently the case, Shashank, right? But then data science and data related things, data science, business analytics, data engineering, all are catching up, right? And in the future, obviously these data analytics are all going to be get more vacancies than a full stack developer, right? So your career progression will also be quite fast compared to a full stack software engineer. Right? So just it's a question to yourself here, Shashank, right? If you are the kind of person who loves programming, who does not care about anything else, who does not care about machine learning, who does not care about businesses and everything, then you can go for software development kind of role. But if you are the kind of person who would like to have a pie on all these things, you can maybe go for a data analyst kind of research. And the career progression will be quite fast because the number of vacancies in data analytics is quite high, and the people with the required skills are also very low, right? So don't worry about the vacancy at all, right? In India, I read a recent statistics which was essentially published. There came that there were over 1.5 lakh required positions in data science related roles, data science, data analyst, data engineering, that sort of roles. There were around 1.5 lakh positions, and the number of people who had the required skill sets were way less apparently. Right? So you need not be worried about getting a job in here. Okay, thanks. GUVI Geek. Okay, I would like to know if a strong domain knowledge is required to join a job in data science or ML. Not required, right? If you are starting out the question is, I would like to know if a strong domain knowledge is required to join a job in data science. And the answer is not really. If you possess the domain knowledge, then you are very well suited for a business analyst kind of role. But if you would like to get started as a data scientist and all, then they don't require you to have amazing domain knowledge. You will learn the domain knowledge in the job itself, right? I am currently working in a core industry and would like to shift my career. What are your thoughts? Go for it, right? The same thing I have said to multiple people, multiple students from the past, right? A lot of people have made the transition from core fields to data science, and they have been quite successful at it as such, right? If you think you will be able to put in the efforts, right? If you think you will be able to, you are interested, right, with these terminologies like machine learning, artificial intelligence, and all, then I would say go for the leap, right? It's going to be the future. I am not exactly good with tech related skills, but will it be so difficult for me to learn the BA skills? No, not at all, right? So as I said before, in business analyst role, you are not required to be good in programming and all, right? You will work with some simple GUI softwares only, graphical user interface software only. You will not be required to write a lot of code and all over here, right? So that's you will not face a lot of difficulty in BA essentially. Only 11 seats. Okay, apparently only 11 seats are available, guys, out of 25 offer seats. It's good. 14 got thing. I'm confused on data analyst and full stack software engineer. My friends are saying software developer, more we can say. That's what I think I have already answered this question, Shashank. It is not the case, right? If you put in the effort, you go for a data science or data analyst role, obviously you're going to get a job, right? We have around 2,500 people who can vouch for it, right? Who have got hired as in these roles. Okay, do we need Mongodb for business analyst? Not really required. You should know the basics of Mongodb as a business analyst, but then you are not required to be very well versed and all, right? Actually, you will not be working a lot with the codes and all, right? You will be working with simple GA only. You will have dedicated data engineers who will usually do the job for you, right? So not really required. Business analyst Mongodb. I'm currently pursuing BBA second year in HR. Can I get a job as a business analyst if I learn the course? Yes, you can. Right, in HR field, there is a lot of openings for data analyst, primarily to model attrition and all, right? They would like to, every firm, right? Every firm out there would like to find out if their employees will leave the firm or not. How will they be able to do that? By running some models, by understanding what is happening with the employees, right? These are all comes under business analytics only. Just like churn prediction, we also have attrition prediction, which is a big business analyst. This is one day I'm talking only about the HR field. Apart from HR, also you can get a business analyst kind of role in the other fields also, like retail, finance, banking, and lot more. Which is easy? Shashank is asking which is easy to learn, data analyst or programming as such. Both are very similar actually, right? Software development is a very programming intensive role. Data analyst is going to be a combination of programming, statistics, machine learning, and things like that as such, right? So you need to take a call which interests you more over here, Shashank, right? In terms of difficulty, both are very similar. Right? The next question is, what kind of questions will be posted in a business analytic interview? You will be facing a lot of case study based questions in a business analytics, right? In case study based questions, they will just give you an open-ended business problem, right? And then they will take some inputs from you and find out how you are able to tackle the problem as such, right? I will give you an example problem. They will say, I am a matrimony website. I have found out that there are a lot of fake profiles in my website. How do you, as a data scientist or a business analyst, would essentially solve this problem? How do you detect the fake profiles, and how do you go about correcting for those fake profiles as such, right? So these kind of questions, right? Case study based questions. For example, another question is, I am Netflix. I would like to essentially recommend movies to my, to the users. How do I go about doing that as such, right? They are not primarily looking for you to write the codes, build the exact models. They are looking for how you are going to tackle the problem, right? How are you defining the problem statement? How are you collecting the required data? And how are you going to, analyze this data to get insights, right? That's what they are primarily looking for. So case study based questions are asked a lot in business analytics. And another very famous type of questions that are asked in a business analytics interview is going to be guesstimate kind of questions, right? Logical reasoning, puzzles, guesstimate, not puzzles, guesstimate. For example, they will ask an open-ended problem like how many teas or cups of coffee will get sold in a city of Chennai, right? Things like that. They are not looking for the exact answer. They are looking for your thought process over here, right? So these are some basic tips to essentially basic questions that you can expect in a BA interview. Tips to prepare. First, do projects, put those projects in resume. That will greatly increase your chances. Know your projects 100%. Whenever you put any project in your resume, you are going to get for sure at least 5-6 questions from the projects, right? So do a business analytics project, put it in your resume, and be 100% aware of the business analytics project, right? So these are some simple tips to essentially have good communication skills, be very confident, right? Because they are looking for communication also as part of business analytics. Which is hard, sir? Business analyst or data analyst or data scientist, all are in the separate same level only, Shashank, right? See, how do you define hard, right? It depends on people to person. If a person is extremely good at programming, they will find a data analyst or data scientist role very simple, right? Compared to other things like business analysts, right? But more, if you look at, if you are an absolute beginner, you have no idea on programming, you have no idea on ML, you have no idea on business, all three are going to be more or less in the same level only, right? I would say business analyst, requires a good amount of business knowledge, right? Which you can easily pick up compared to other things as such. Okay, apparently only 8 seats are available out of 25 for this offer, guys. Again, Shashank, you are repeatedly asking which is hard, right? The hard part, there is nothing like one is hard, right? One is more difficult than the other. It completely depends on what type of background you have. Yes. No, Sharvil put, hello, sir. I have a question related to this. Related to what, Sharvil? Can you put your exact question? Next up, okay. Why exactly business analyst is important or needed in the organization? What kind of companies will take business analysts? See, everybody in these times have data, right? Every firm has data. Every firm is collecting massive amounts of data. Now it's going to be the person who puts the data in better use, who's going to win this business race. Right? Everybody is in a race. If you look at EdTech, there are multiple EdTech platforms out there. If you look at sports analytics, there are multiple sports analytics platforms out there as such, right? So all are collecting some or the other data, right? The one who is going to get the most insight from the data is going to be the one who is going to win the race, right? That's why companies are actually investing a lot on data related products. Right? And the business analyst, what they will do is they will analyze the data and give you business insights. They will give you actionable insights. They will give you insights like do this, don't do this, right? So that it will improve your business as such, right? So this is exactly the reason as to why people are hiring business analysts a lot, right? They are actually giving leap bounds, they are leaping the businesses forward as such, right? They are increasing the revenue, they are bringing in more money, they are lessening the cost, they are solving the important problems, everything through data related approaches, That's why people are hiring business analysts. Sir, I have specifically interest in data analytics and business analytics. I have learned skills like Tableau and Power BI, SQL and basic Python. Still, I am hustling to find the entry-level job in the industry. So how would I get this job as such? So I think you are hustling towards getting a job, maybe primarily due to what sort of companies you are applying for. You are not having the right guidance as such, right? If you are having knowledge on all these things, and if you have done a couple of projects, you are comfortable with all these things, you should be easily able to get a job. I think the problem might be in you are not getting the right guidance, right? Go for right guidance as such, right? People who have try to look out for entry level roles, try to apply for a lot of firms, whatever firms that you are applying for, right? Try to essentially do some project related to those, right? For example, if you are interested in the finance domain, do a business analytics projects in the finance domain as such. It will greatly improve your chances of getting shortlisted, right? But over here, Sharvil, if you have learned all these, you are confident in all these technologies and still trying to difficult to find a job, you need better guidance as such. If you have better guidance, I'm sure that you will be able to get placed in a good role. Okay, Shashank is asking some very funny questions. My height is small. Can I become business analyst? No, right? Nothing to do with height, Shashank. Right? Nothing to do with height. It's all about your skills only, man. Right? In these modern days, nobody cares about what color, what height, and all you are in. Right? It's all about how much you can essentially prove to the interviewer. Right? Obviously, you will be able to do it. Kisar said business analyst will work on problem statements. What type of problem statements? Can you please give some examples? So I think we already looked at some problem statements as part of the the presentation also, right? For example, a very famous problem statement is customer segmentation, right? So you are an e-commerce platform. You would like to understand your customers better, right? You would like to understand your customers better. So you will be given a problem statement to divide your customers into different groups, right? Divide the customers into different groups as such, right? How would you go about doing it? This is what is called as a customer segmentation. Based on the tastes of the customer, based on the purchases, past purchases of the customer, you would like to cluster or group the customers into different bins, right? So that you will be able to give targeted, advertisements or targeted discounts to each group as such. It's a classic example of a business analyst problem statement. Another classic example is going to be that of demand forecasting. You are a manufacturer, right? You are a Britannia biscuits, let's suppose, right? You are manufacturing Milk Bikis product, right? How many units to manufacture? How do you decide that? Again, using business analytics tools only as such. You try to understand, get historical data. You would like to get insights from the historical data and then only come up with the answers. These are all some examples, right? Some other examples also I have mentioned in the, in the presentation. If you have missed it, maybe you can watch the recording message. Perfect. How many rounds of interview will there be in a business analyst, data analyst, data scientist, data engineer? Usually 4. You can expect, you can mentally get prepared for 4 rounds of interview, right? More the rounds of interview that you have, more the pay package is going to be. For example, if you are interviewing for firms like Google and all, they will take multiple rounds of interview because your pay package is going to be quite high. They want to choose the right person, right? But in general, 4 rounds of interview you can expect. The first round is going to be a case study based interview, right? They will give you a take home assignment. They will give you 2 days time. They will ask you to solve the assignment. Second will be a technical face-to-face interview. Third will also be a technical face-to-face interview. Last will be a HR interview, right? 4 interviews you can expect. What is the minimum qualification required to become a business analyst as such? So usually they expect you to be a graduate, right? Usually they expect people to, most of the firms, right? A lot of firms essentially require a graduation, right? A graduation in any field, engineering, science, commerce, BBA, right? BCA, anything will essentially work. Right? These are the minimum qualifications required. Once you have the minimum qualifications, obviously you need to learn the necessary skills. You need to know about the business. You need to know about the quant skills. You need to know about the database skills. Once you have got that, you have passed the prerequisite for being a business analyst. Okay, thanks. You have solved all my doubts. Thanks for that, Shashank. Can we get a business analyst internship? Yeah, there are a lot of business analyst internships as such. Right? There are a lot of usually people give initially internships roles and then convert it into a full-time role as such, right? So lots of, apart from that, there are also lots of internship roles also. A lot of startups actually hire for internship roles also, right? I think in GUVI itself, we have seen a lot of business analyst internship roles getting offered. Perfect. Can I get your number, sir? Okay, I will put my number, man, but usually not over here, but maybe a bit later, right? You can maybe communicate with the coordinator. They will be able to give you. The scenario-based question will be really asked in BA interviews. Yeah, they will be asked a lot in BA interviews as such. And that's what I talked about, right? Case study-based questions. These are what are called as case study-based questions as such. They will give you a scenario. You as a business analyst needs to find the answer to that problem, using the data, right? You need to say, right? I gave you an example, the matrimonial example, the Netflix example. These are all scenario-based questions. They usually ask a lot of scenario-based questions for a business analyst interview compared to other types of interview. Business analyst scenario-based questions will be asked a lot. So get prepared for that. Right? Will business analyst work with a particular company hired or for the client? That depends on what role you are going for, right? That's a good question. It depends. If you are going for a data science as a service firm, then you will be working for the client. But if you are going for the product firm itself, then you will be working for the company itself. right? Data science as a service, there are a lot of firms like TCS offers data science as a service, Musicma offers data science as a service, analytics firms essentially offer data science as a service. For those kind of people, you will be working for client. For other types of people, you will be working for the company that you are hired for. Do we have to study aptitude, reasoning, verbal ability for placements? Akash, this is not CAT, right? In CAT only you require aptitude, reasoning, verbal ability and all, right? Not really, right? Not like aptitude. You should have some general aptitude. You should prepare for general aptitude-based questions. When I say aptitude, I'm not talking about the CAT kind of questions. I'm talking about the simple questions like basic statistics, basic probability, and things like that. Right? Not really verbal ability and all, not at all, right? Reasoning also very less as such, right? Simply aptitude, probability, statistics is what is essentially required, along with business knowledge, along with visualization knowledge, along with the database knowledge also, right? Database related concepts, visualization related concepts, business related concepts, and some aptitude, right? That is the secret mantra for being a business analyst. What are the day-to-day activities of a data scientist? I'm a 2015 passed out. I have a career gap. Is this difficult to learn? Not at all, right? We have a lot of people, right? See, I'm only telling with whatever I have seen, right? In the past, we have had a lot of people who have had more than 3-4 years of, even have people who have more than 10 years of career gap, right? Like who are going to start their second innings and all, right? They were actually able to learn data science and also get hired as a data scientist and such. And the day-to-day activities of a data scientist is going to be, so the business analyst or the consultant will give the problem statement. Once they have the problem statement, they need to collect the data. Once they collect the data, they need to completely clean the data. And that will essentially take a major chunk of the data scientist time. Once they clean the data, they need to visualize the data. They need to explore the data. This is what is called as exploratory data analysis, where they will be exploring the data. Once they explore the data, they will be working with machine learning models to construct some predictive models and things like that. And after constructing models, they will report the entire accuracy. They will report the insights, everything from the model to the business analyst or the data consultant. Right? This we keep on repeating. Right? And some things will take long time to do also. But these are the things that the data scientists will be doing: cleaning, exploring, modeling, and interpreting the models. Right? Basic tips for interviews to attend a data science interview and business analyst interview. See, basic tips are going to be 100% get prepared on questions from your resume. If they ask any question from your resume, you should be able to answer that. Right? One common excuse I see with a lot of people are, I will ask a question from, they will put in their resume, they will put their BTech projects or BE projects or whatever. Right? And when I ask a question about it, it will not be related to data science, but even if I ask a question about it, they will say they don't have any absolute clue. Don't do that. Right? Whatever you write in your resume, the basic requirement is you should be completely aware of it as such. Right? And the second thing is, do a lot of data science or business analytics projects, put it in your resume, be 100% aware of your projects. Right? See, the moment as an interviewer sees a project in your resume, they will be completely focused on that one thing, right? Which is a very good thing for you, right? Because you have done the project, you know the project better than the interviewer as such, right? They are playing in your home ground. You are not playing in their home ground as such, right? So do a couple of projects, put it in your resume. Whatever you have put it in your resume, be 100% aware of it. Right? This is what the basic tips from a resume point of view. And in an interview, always think out loud. They don't care about your answer. They care about your thinking skills only. So whenever you give an answer to the question, think out loud. Say that X happened, so X, because of X, Y will happen. Because of Y, Z will happen. So the answer is going to be Z. Say something like that as such, right? So this is what very, very important. Thinking out loud. Be confident. I see a lot of people who are well versed in topics but are not lack the confidence as such. Be confident in the interview. These are all very basic tips. I guess there are not many, but these are basic tips that you must always have in mind. What kind of softwares does business analyst use on day-to-day activities? They use a lot of Tableau, they use a lot of Power BI, they use a lot of Excel, they use a lot of PowerPoint presentation. They might use occasionally SQL and things like that. Hey, but primarily it is going to be Tableau, Power BI and related tools. Good question. Thank you for hosting this webinar. Special thanks to the mentor for clearing all those. Okay, thanks guys. I didn't start any business. Pranjal, I'm sorry, I'm not. IIT and start any business? What? I don't understand the question, Pranjal. Okay, business knowledge, what does it exactly mean? So when I say business knowledge, right? See, for example, let's suppose you are working for a edtech platform. You must be aware of how the edtech platform makes money. Who are your end users going to be? What is the capital that is going to be deployed? What is the cost to you? What are the type of people that are coming to your edtech platform? Is it going to be 12th standard kids? Is it going to be college kids? Is it going to be what type of kids, right? This is what I mean by business knowledge, right? You take any business, right? You take any business like finance, banking, different things. How do they make money? What are the costs that are going to be for them? Who are their investors going to be? What are the capital requirements for them? Who are their customers going to be? What is the unique selling value of the business going to be, right? These kinds of things only I mean when it comes to business knowledge research. And the domain knowledge, how does the business essentially operate on a day-to-day basis? How does the business make money, right? How do the business essentially release payments, like things like that. I'm going in bit advanced also, but everything regarding the business is what I mean by business knowledge. What are the steps we are learning in this data science course? So what are the steps we are, okay, in the data science course that is offered in GUVI, you will actually get started with Python programming, right? You will do 2 to 3 weeks of Python. Actually 3 weeks now, we are offering 10 weeks of Python also, but the 3 weeks of Python programming is what you will be initially offered. Then you will learn the basics of data, right? Like you will learn pandas, you will learn Mongodb. These are all tools to essentially handle the data as such, right? Then you will actually go about learning some visualization tools, right? In the data science course, I'm talking about the data science course, guys. I'm not talking about the business analytics course. The data science course, then you will learn about visualization tools like Matplotlib, Plotly, Seaborn, and things like that. Then you will learn about data cleaning. Then you will learn about probability and statistics. Then you will finally start with machine learning as such, right? You will do 8 weeks of machine learning such. You will do a lot of case studies, projects, assignments, right? Every class we will be essentially doing a small case study, and at the end of the entire course you will be doing the final big project, right? And at the end of the course we will also be giving interview preparation. We will have 2 to 3 we have 2 weeks of interview preparation, which is 4 sessions of interview preparation, right? What are the common questions answered? How do you go about preparing for the interview? How do you create your resume? We will go through all these things, right? So the steps are start right from programming till interview preparation. Everything will be covered as part of the data science course, essentially. But what will be the expectation for a business analyst to be a fresher? The tools, right? The easy short answer is going to be the tools. You should be well aware of the tools like Power BI, Tableau, SQL, Excel, and all. And you should possess some basic, basic business knowledge also. How does a business operate and things like that. What is analytical reporting? Analytical reporting is nothing but reporting the data, right? As I said, right, businesses essentially collect some important metrics, right? On a daily basis, these metrics must be reported to the stakeholders as such. For example, let's suppose you are a bank. You will take some metrics like what is your current deposits, how much is your outstanding loan, how much is your NPA, how much is going to be your capital requirement, and things like that. How much is going to be your risk capital, right? Things like these important metrics, right? Reporting these metrics on a daily basis to the stakeholders is what analytical reporting is going to be. It is a very small part of a business analyst, right? It's a very small part of a business analyst. What is the issue and what is the risk on what kind of problem statements will business analyst work? So the issue is going to be, see, everybody will have a business problem, right? Every businesses will essentially have a problem, right? How do I improve the revenue? Some easy questions could be, how can I improve the revenue? How can I decrease the cost that my business is essentially running? How can I find out the types of customers that are coming to my platform? How do I essentially go about profiling the customers? What sort of discounts must I offer? These are all the problem statements, right? Which businesses face, and you will be working on all these kinds of problem statements. All the problem statements that I have given here have a business analytics, solution also available. What type of roles will there be in a business analyst? So in a business analyst, actually, right, it's going to be just a simple role only, right? As I said, business analytics as such, right? It's just a simple, the designations. If you are asking for the designations, usually they will call it as a data analyst, they will call it as a business analyst, they will call it as a data science consultant, right? These are all different names for a business analyst. And the roles is going to be, yeah, you need to identify the problem statement, you need to ask the required teams to collect the data, you need to communicate with the data scientist to build models, and then whatever models that the data scientist has built, you need to communicate, you need to get the insights from the models as such, right? These are all the rules, right? You need to identify the problem statement, collect the data, ask the data scientist to do the, answer, give an answer with whatever answer the data scientist has given, which will be a technical answer. You need to convert it into an actionable insight. That is a business insight as such, right? So these are the daily roles and responsibilities. What will be the minimum salary package can fresher get? See, I think I can only answer with respect to GUVI. I think GUVI, Raji, correct me if I am wrong, right? The minimum package that we are essentially saying are around 4 to 4.5 lakhs as such. Right? For any sort of fresher role, the minimum salary that GUVI is accepting, that is giving it to the students, are that is we are the roles, kind of roles that we are offering, right? The interviews that we are offering to our students are going the range of 4 to 4.5 lakhs. What is the use case? Please can me help? Can please help me with this as such? What is the use case as such? See, that's what, right? The use case of a business analyst is going to be to finally help the business one day, right? You do the customer segmentation, you find the different types of customers that are there in your platform. You will give targeted advertisements. You will give targeted discounting. If you give targeted discounting, what will happen? Right? People will be more interested in your platform. Number of people who will be joining your platform will essentially increase, right? In which case your revenue is going to go up. Right? This is going to be the use case of a business analyst. They are trying to extract insights or information from the data and converting it into the business insights as such, helping the businesses grow. Right? That's the use case of a business analyst. Any other questions, guys? People who have raised your hands, can you maybe put your questions in the chat box? You guys put your questions in the chat box.
Guys, meanwhile, you can just post your feedback in the given link. So you are about to tell something.
No, I'm just giving the thing to you, Raj.
Okay. I think I have forwarded all the questions which I have got here.
Okay.
And Shivanjali, there is a person who is asking, will this webinar recording will be shared?
Yes. Yeah, it will be shared in the YouTube channel within a week or 2.
Okay. Guys, if you have any other questions, you can please be posted in the chat box. And if you want to book your slots, you can just, maybe use the contact which they have given and the raise up a link. And kindly fill, without any failure, please fill the feedback form. Yeah, only 4 seats are available, it seems. So please utilize that. So you're having any questions?
No, I think last question that I had is, when will the course start? Right, the business analytics course is expected to start by April 14th, but always, but the data science course has already started. It's keep on going on, right? Every weekend we are essentially introducing a batch, right? So if you guys are essentially interested in any of them, you can just get in touch with the coordinator. They will give you the exact dates when the business analytics course will start. I think I'm actually done with all the questions from my side, Raji.
Yeah, even I'm done with all the questions, sir. I have forwarded all the questions.
Okay.
Yeah, Raji, I guess we can wrap it up.
Yeah, thank you, Shivanjali. Thank you very much, sir. I mean, like this was really a wonderful insight. Even I know we were not completely aware of the things, but it was like clearly mentioned. You have mentioned from the scratch to everything. Thank you very much, Koushik, sir.
Thank you guys. I always also learn a lot from you. Thanks for hosting me.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for attending the webinar.
Thanks, guys. Have a nice day ahead. See you in the next webinar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Shivanjali.
Yeah, thank you, Raji. Thank you, Koushik.